Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking with all-star Baylee Allison about hormones, acne, and weight loss. It's going to be interesting to see her perspective in coaching and how she's helping people be better people. Additionally, with her own journey and her own struggles along the way, because we can all better from personal development. So cheers to that. Enjoy the episode. It's going to be a good one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk to Aaron Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercise to help make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Everyone, welcome Baylee.
Hello, everyone.
Baylee, it's so nice to have you on here. We had one of your clients, good friends, Jenna, on here recently, and I'm really excited she connected us.
Yes, me too. I'm excited to be here this morning.
Well, if you don't mind, we're going to kind of start ripping into it and try and I've been really curious about looking at a lot of your content recently. Baylee's very active online and engaging. And I'm curious, like, how you got started in here and what got you interested in, like, hormones and acne and weight loss, kind of the beginning of your journey.
Yes, of course. So this is a long story. I will somewhat condense it, but we have to go all the way back to me being in high school. I feel like is where the hormone aspect started. So this is more for, I guess, maybe a female audience, but it's good for the men to know too. So I got my first period beginning of high school, and I had a super irregular cycle. I had really bad acne. I would never really get my period. And the solution at the time was hormonal birth control. And I didn't really know any better. So went on birth control, my symptoms went away. And I say that because they don't really go away. They're just masked by birth control. And then I didn't really deal with the issue again until college. So then in college, I actually went to India for yoga teacher training, and I met with a holistic doctor there. And he was like, "You need to get off birth control. It's not fixing any of your problems." So I listened to him. I got off birth control, and then my acne came back in full swing. I know my skin looks pretty good right now, but I had acne from like right here, like hundreds of zits you could probably never imagine. So I had really, really bad acne. I was never really getting my period at all. I actually had a tumor on my ovary, was diagnosed with PCOS, endometriosis, and yeah, went on a journey of healing that holistically without birth control, because a major concern with women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis is not being able to have kids in the future. And I didn't even really want to have kids at the time, but you should be able to still like ovulate and have a healthy period, because it affects so many other aspects of your life. And of course, the acne was just debilitating confidence wise. Like, until you have really bad acne, you don't understand how debilitating it really is for your mental health. So was healing that holistically. And luckily I had my background within kinesiology certifications in personal training, nutrition. I also worked with a holistic dietitian. So through my education, certifications, working with someone else who had a more like functional, holistic way of healing, I got to a place where I managed my PCOS, my endo, and I like to say like 90% clear skin, because of course I still break out here or there, but it's like nothing like it used to be. So how I got into doing this work for other people, I started my business, I always forget, 2021, I believe. So in the brink of COVID, like most people, I feel like in their 20s started a business during COVID. And originally it was just like personal training, nutrition training. I was working at a gym. It was a private gym. It was really nice. I did like working there, but I'm not sure if Jenna touched on this. The lifestyle of a personal trainer is just crazy. Waking up at 4 a.m. I'm someone who really loves my mornings, having slow mornings, and I was giving them away to train people. So was working really early. I would come home, have a little break, then have to work all afternoon. You don't get compensated that well for all the work that you're putting in, especially with having a college degree. So I was getting really frustrated. And And I actually have a screenshot of my phone. I went on YouTube of all places and I searched how to leave your 9 to 5, even though I didn't have a traditional 9 to 5, but I was like, I just need to figure out a way I can have a business for myself. And I started off actually with a blog that is still up, but it's very old. So I'm not even going to share what it is. And I came to realize I don't like blogging. I don't like writing. And for me, being somewhat impatient at times, it just was going to take so long for me to monetize it to be able to go full time in that business. People do it, but I wanted to go full time really soon. So then I somehow stumbled across the coaching realm, probably on YouTube or Spotify or somewhere. And I started taking clients on the side. So I was having personal training clients online, was helping them with fitness, nutrition, went full time very fast in about 3 to 4 months, whatever you can, consider like full-time wage. And then I was in that niche for about a year. And then I started to specify more into hormones once I felt fully healed within myself. And I was just so passionate about it. I knew other women needed help with the same things. So that's my condensed version.
Yeah, there's something so beautiful, it seems, inconsistent with this helping people with the things that you struggled with yourself, like that. I read all these books on sales and like how to talk, but it feels like conviction and just personal experience like trumps all of it, and you were living in it. A couple of things I want to. So how old were you when you went to India, and what'd you even do over there? You just got the courage to go do it? Did you get invited, or how did that happen?
Of course. So I went there when I freshly turned 21 and I'm almost 26 now. So almost 5 years ago. I actually went for yoga teacher training. So yoga was kind of like my first step before fitness and everything else, like was my first step into wellness. And I taught yoga at the college, but I had a really crappy certification. And I found some girl on YouTube because I was very obsessed with YouTube in high school and college, who went to India for her yoga teacher training. And I broke it down that like the cost of going to India for over a month and doing yoga teacher training there was less with the flights and everything than going to a subpar yoga school in the US. That's not as cool as experience, in my opinion.
Huh.
So I found it and I went to my parents and I was like, and I've never gone out of the country besides like a resort in Mexico. And I go to my parents and I'm like, I'm going to India and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I can pay for it. I can save up my money and afford it. I had so many part-time jobs in college and I was like, there's nothing you can do to stop me, because I knew they wouldn't be very happy about, I don't know, just like someone who's never gone out of the country, traveling solo to a third world country that has a lot of, I don't know, like stigma, or I don't know, I feel like the older generation maybe can look down on, unfortunately. So my parents were very against it and they're like, please at least find someone to go with you. So one of my yoga teacher friends at the YMCA, who was just a year older than me, she said she wanted to go with me. So me and her went together. We went to India. We were there for about 5 weeks. We traveled for a week and went to like the Taj Mahal and was in like the capital in New Delhi. And then we took a little plane into the Himalayan mountains. It's called Rishikesh. It's like a very holy city there. It's a birthplace of yoga. So it's where a lot of white people go, if I'm being honest, to learn how to teach yoga. It's very like touristy in that way. But I was there for a month and me and my friend Mariah were the only people from the US, and there's probably 20 something other people from countries from all over the world. So like Africa, Australia, Germany. So I met so many friends from all over, which was super cool. And we were there to learn yoga, and 6 days a week, we were doing like 5-6 hours of yoga a day in 120-degree weather. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. So it was super fun and really was a stepping stone into like holistic health for me.
Yeah, these experiences, you can't, I mean, what could you possibly trade them for? The conviction in finding people to, man, it's such a tough position to be in with your parents, because like going over to India and being scared, but also like letting people like experience life, right? That a little bit of letting go. Are there some principles from yoga that you really still embody today that you absolutely adore and love?
For sure. I think a big thing is I still am like a huge like meditation girly. Like I've always been into meditation, like manifestation, law of attraction, mindfulness ever since high school. But obviously got way deeper in that. They would have us meditate for over an hour a day, which was very, very hard. Like to sit that long. But so I would say meditation, just really being really present. I was very big into my spirituality during that time. So that's something I still practice. So I'd say those are the main things. And obviously just like they made all their food from scratch. They ate pretty vegan and vegetarian there. And at the time I was vegan and vegetarian. I'm not anymore, but I still eat a lot of plant-based meals. So I still, I don't know, like to cook my meals from scratch. I like to use a lot of Indian spices because they use a lot of spices there, which a lot of us people in America have very plain, non-spiced food. So that was something I for sure took was just, and also they walk everywhere as well. So just moving your body more, meditation, mindfulness, cooking with spices. Those are the main things.
Mindfulness and meditation seem to kind of go hand in hand. I really liked, shout out to Dan Millman's book, Everyday Enlightenment. He's just talking about how like meditation it doesn't need to be just sitting down and doing nothing. It can be like diving into your work, or it can be washing the dishes or cleaning the house or something like that. For maybe a beginner, do you have any advice for people who are just wanting to try out meditation, or any kind of putting the wabash on like limiting beliefs? Or sometimes I feel like people can kind of woo it away, like I don't need to just sit here. I need to just do this.
Of course. And I love talking about this because the biggest thing people say is, I can never meditate. My mind is so active. And coming from someone who used to, like, I don't really identify with this anymore, but I have like severe generalized anxiety. My mind was always thinking of a million things at a time. Like, you are the perfect person who needs to meditate. And I like to tell my clients, or just people in general, that a big misconception is it's not about not, like you said, it's not about like not thinking about nothing. It's about having your thoughts and allowing them to roll without like judging them or being like stuck in them. Kind of a more like cheesy or cliche thing that sometimes people say, but it's like, imagine if you're like laying down on the ground or on the beach and you're looking up in the sky, like your thoughts are like clouds passing by. You're not getting attached to them, but you can think as much as you want during meditation. It's about not attaching to them and being the witness of your own thoughts. And I think that was super helpful for me to realize, but also doing guided meditations and starting off doing like 2 minutes, and then maybe 5 minutes, and then maybe 10, and then maybe you can work your way up to 20. Like, I usually never meditate for more than 20 minutes, even though I did an hour in India. I'd usually fall asleep after about 20 minutes. But just start off really small and start off with guided meditations. Find someone that you really like. Some people's meditations will annoy you. Like, I know for me, some people's voices, I just can't stand listening to them, some of the guided ones. So find someone you really resonate with, and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to do it right or not think about anything, are the biggest things.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of just gave me the recipe to doing really anything. Whether it's just starting off small. I don't need to save the world and be a Buddhist monk. There's people who can set themselves on fire, whatever the hell. But I don't need to. It doesn't need to be some extreme thing. It kind of makes me feel a lot more comfortable. It can just be getting a start a little bit, finding someone in anything we do, finding someone you resonate with. It's incredible how the activity not mattering as much as like who we're engaging with, and who we're like, if you think about like me doing an activity with my friends or someone I like versus someone you don't, it can really throw it off. It's super cool. So meditation, I wanted to ask you about kinesiology, something that you studied and learned more about. What the heck is that? What does that mean? And how does that kind of apply to us living happier and healthier lives?
Of course. So technically, it's just the study of the way the body moves, which sounds kind of boring, or like, what does that even mean? And the more like recognizable degree, I guess, would be like exercise science or studying like exercise and fitness. But really, like, it's a lot of anatomy. So studying like the anatomy of the body, the way the body moves biomechanically, a lot into fitness and like proper form when you're working out, what the body does when you work out, nutritionally, what it does when you eat more protein or go in a calorie deficit. So it's really, I mean, it's a lot of just like fitness, nutrition, mindset too, but the like technical term is the study of the way the body moves. But how that goes into the way, like how to help someone on a wellness journey, obviously with their fitness journey, nutrition journey, their mindset around nutrition and fitness. Hopefully that was a good enough description.
Yeah, how the body moves. It makes a lot of sense to be able to, they seems as if movement is like life. Like if things like can't move and they can't grow, then they like die. Not to sound morbid, but understanding these things and how the body works. So I've met with a couple people recently, and they had a lot of self-confidence issues, and one of them really stemmed from acne. I need to make an introduction to you, really, but how would you kind of describe and start talking to someone, say, I'm coming to you and my self-image is just, I'm my own worst critic, beating myself up. Kind of what are some of the things, kind of the starting grounds that you would say for people with just self-image issues in general? It seems like you talked about acne, just thinking back to high school. Yeah, in high school, you don't know anything about anything, but then just people really tearing themselves down to like a whole new level, like worse than their own enemies would treat them. You're treating yourself worse than your own enemy would, which is wild to think.
Yeah, I think a big thing to realize for people who have, if that's like your acne or what your body looks like or whatever, is like you can never hate yourself into looking better. And even if you do, you're still going to have those same problems. If you hate how you look with your acne, you're still nothing's ever going to be good enough. Even when you clear your skin, you're still not going to like how you look. Or you hear this all the time for people who lose immense amounts of weight. They lose 100 pounds and they still hate how they look because they did it out of a place of hate. And I love to preach, like, you need to love where your body's at now, where your skin's at now, what you look like now, or whatever you're insecure about, because even if you fix that problem, you're still not going to like how you look. So a lot of it's going to be learning how to love how you look now. I mean, it's going to depend too. A lot of my clients do a lot of mirror checking. So if that's like obsessing about how their skin looks in the mirror, like if you've had acne, you'll know what I mean. You wake up in the morning and right away you like count how many zits you have on your face. Or I know a lot of women too go in front of the mirror and see how bloated they look or how fat they look or what their butt looks like. And they get so hyper obsessed. And even the stress of getting so hyper obsessed and fixated on these things is going to keep you from ever fixing that thing, because stress has a huge impact on the way our body looks and our skin looks. So it's learning to accept where your skin, body, whatever is at right now, and not trying to hate it away, and then taking actions out of self-love and just wanting to treat your body as a whole and make it healthier as a whole, which in return will help you lose the weight, clear your skin, whatever you're insecure about. But there's even a few extra little things. Not body checking in the mirror. So not, like I said, not like hyper obsessing, stopping yourself like, okay, I'm going to stand several feet away from the mirror, not obsess about my skin, or I'm not going to, like, for me, I literally had to write a note on the mirror, like, stop body checking, like to see how bloated I look. That's one thing people can do. It might sound kind of cheesy, but even putting like affirmations on your mirror was super, super helpful for me as well. I'm trying to think if there's any other big things. This might sound kind of goofy, but it works. Being naked more. I don't know if it's a little risque for this, but being okay with your body, your naked body in the mirror. So being naked more is one as well that you can do. Self-love meditations were really helpful, but really just knowing if you want to change that, you need to do it from a place of love.
It's interesting you bring it up this. So shout out to MLK Day. I really enjoy history, and when those holidays come up, talking about it, it's interesting how even over as time continues, everything's evolving at such an incredible fast pace. Technology, how we interact, how we engage, like love, tolerance, and peace, like with thyself, just continues to just keep running along and helping people. Yeah, I really do. I like the affirmations and trying to think how we can be. I want to make things like this cool. Like I want to be able to make it more interesting to people. I know I had a lot of resistance in the past to anything that sounded like I went to the seminar and they put this mirror in front of me and they're like, yell your number one goal out to you. And I was younger at the time and I don't think I was really ready for it. And it was just kind of weird and wild. Like what do you, how did you kind of get over the woo-woo thing? You said you were kind of always into it, or how do you kind of talk to clients to kind of be more open-minded, I guess is my long-winded thing. Like how can we be more open-minded?
So you're right in the sense I've always been kind of into it. So I didn't really have to like convince myself to really do anything. I don't know what my thought process was back in high school that made me so into it. But I think a big thing too is meeting clients or whoever where they're at. I like to ask my clients, like, I don't know how woo-woo you are, or if you're like, but are you open to using meditation? Are you open to doing these certain mindset practices or affirmations? And like I said earlier, I'll just start off really small with them. And once they start doing it, even if they think it's silly, and I mean, I tell them it's going to feel silly, it's going to feel dumb, but I like to show them the science too of like, this is why affirmations work. Like scientifically, it's a process that works. So I like to explain the science to them, but starting them off really small, letting them know like, you're going to feel super silly and goofy. But then once you start feeling better, looking better, being happy in your life, you're not going to think it's silly anymore. So that's what I tell them.
One of the same person at the seminar. So after I did that and I was talking to someone next to me, and I guess I sat by the right person at the right time, but I was like, man, was that not kind of like weird or intense or silly was actually a word I used. And he's like, what's sillier is beating yourself up and staying where you're at and not being a better person. I was like, okay, yeah, that is true. I was like, that is a good response. Yeah, totally. But yeah, no, I think that moment really changed a lot of the ways that I look at it. So for health and wellness, do you still have personal training clients now? Are you still taking people on putting them through workouts and like nutrition plans and stuff like that? What's kind of like your focus on health and wellness nowadays?
Of course. So majority of my clients come to me for a hormone related issue. So if that's their skin, they can't lose weight, which is a lot hormonally, PCOS, endometriosis, painful periods, irregular periods, or just really low energy. So most clients, it's a hormone related issue. I have some old clients. I don't want to call them old clients, but clients from before my hormone era who are still with me, who don't even, some of them are like mindset coaching clients now, but some of them still only do like mostly fitness, nutrition, nothing really hormonally. But so yes, I still do some online personal training. Majority is through nutrition, hormone testing, supplementation, lifestyle changes, and the way that they work out more than like programmed workouts. So yeah, hopefully I don't know if that's what you wanted.
Yeah, this to kind of dive a little deeper in the hormonal space, my girlfriend has learned a lot more about birth control. If you had to, like, should no one be taking this at all? Is there situations to where you think it's fine, or kind of like what's your opinion on birth control and people taking it?
So my opinion is definitely going to be maybe one that's a little bit more controversial, and that's okay because there's definitely a trend that more people are thinking the way I do. I believe 99% of people have no reason to be on birth control. And it's unfortunate that it is the solution given by majority of Western medicine doctors. Not all. There's some great ones out there who that's not their go-to. And I think that we're on a trend where that's not like the default. But most women are thrown on birth control in high school. They don't know any better. Our parents' generation didn't know any better. So there's no one really to tell them unless they find someone like me, which I can't legally tell someone not to go on birth control. I can only educate, and then they can make an educated decision to get off or not be on it. But anyways, so these, vulnerable high schoolers or middle schoolers are told to go on birth control. They're told it'll fix your skin, it'll make your skin clear, it will get rid of your periods, you can have as much sex as you want, like all these alluring things. And then they go on it, and 9 out of 10 times, I see it over and over and over again, when they get off of birth control, they have super bad acne, they can't get pregnant or have a really hard time getting pregnant. They have a really hard time with their energy levels, their weight, their moods, they have panic attacks. And it's because when you're on birth control, it shuts off ovulation. Our bodies as women are made, if you want children or not, that doesn't matter. They're made to ovulate, and you completely turn that off on birth control. Even when you're on the pill and you have a period, it's a fake period. You're not ovulating. It's a withdrawal bleed from the hormones in the pill. So it's just so unnatural. The only time I would say that it's like acceptable is if someone has endometriosis, which gives you extremely excruciatingly painful periods to where you can't exist. Like you can't go to the bathroom, you can't walk, you can just sit in a little hunch ball. It's so painful. I would say going on birth control temporarily while you find a more holistic, natural way to manage it would be helpful during that time period. So you can have the energy and to do the things that would make you feel better, if you get what I mean. That's like the only time, because we're made to believe that it's so easy to get pregnant, that you can get pregnant so easily. And that's why you need to go on birth control, when really you can only get pregnant maximum 5 days of your entire cycle. And if you just learn what those 5 days are, it's very easy to prevent pregnancy. So I do not like it. I'm not a fan.
No, yeah. When you're kind of breaking down what's really going on with your body, and my girlfriend was telling me about, clearly I'm a novice to the topic, but she was talking about having her like mooning, or having your like cycles kind of keep matching
to the moon.
Yeah. So that's like when you're kind of like on point, or with or is it's just so dependent person to person? I don't really know.
Some women sync up to the moon because the lunar cycle is on a 29-day cycle, and women are on a 21 to 35-day cycle. So some women will, on average, I'd say most women's periods are around 27 to 30 days. So right with the lunar moon. So a lot of women I find will either have their period on the new moon or full moon. And in like the deep spiritual realm, some people believe that means something specific. I don't really think it matters. Just because your period's synced to the moon doesn't mean that you're having a better period to someone who isn't synced to the moon. But as long as someone's having like a 21 to 35-day cycle, that's what you want. But some women, yes, do sync to the moon.
Interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. I was like,
cool.
That's really amazing. The moon, because you got to believe in the power of the moon, not to dive into that, like whether it's the tide or
I'm a big believer of the moon's effect, astrology, all the things. So 100%.
Cool. Okay, so Baylee, I have a zit on my face, and do I just go for that bad boy and try and like pop it, or like how do I'm really thankful for this. I've never really had an issue with acne. Here and there, I still kind of get some here and there. Like, what do I really do? I put toothpaste on, and debunk that. I put a little bit of toothpaste on my zits, and it like dries them out. And you know what? I don't even have a source for that, but I started doing it and it worked. I thought I heard it from my buddy, and I was like, oh, okay. And I've just kind of been doing it ever since. But any tips for me?
So Yes, there's a lot of things for me to say. First thing with the toothpaste, although that may work for you, toothpaste can really break people out. So I wouldn't recommend putting toothpaste on it. And like, if it
Okay.
works for you, that's great. So I'm trying to think of where to start because there's so much for me to say. If you're just having a few zits here or there, like you have one or two breakouts, you're fine. Like that could be probably fixed through skincare. If you're just having like a few, like so small, they're having a whitehead, they're not cystic, like work on your skincare. Skincare, I would say, is like 10% of the picture. So it still matters, but it's such a small piece of the puzzle. 90% is going to be through lifestyle factors. Now, obviously, I help women with their acne. So with men's hormones, I'm not as familiar with how that affects your skin. I mean, obviously testosterone, the more testosterone you have as a woman, the more you break out. I would assume it maybe is the same as a man, but I'm not totally positive. But okay, so let's say if you have a few zits, it's not bad acne, skincare can probably fix you. Now, so I'm not worried about that person really that much. So if you work on your skincare, I'm sure you fix your acne. If you just have like a few little breakouts. Now, if you're having like cystic acne, it's persistent, or like adult persistent acne, especially in this region, but some people get it on their forehead. It's not going away. It's cystic, so it's not coming to like a whitehead. And like you've tried everything skincare under the sun. What you should not do is go on birth control, spironolactone, antibiotics, Accutane. Those are all temporary solutions, also very expensive solutions. Accutane, from when I was going to go on it, is about $800 a month. And you have to be on it for multiple rounds, and it's very hard on your body. So you're spending a lot of money just to make your body feel like crap. So do not do that. I would dive deeper into your nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle. Now, I'm sorry, the sun is coming in at a bad angle at my face. But so what I would recommend is for all my clients, I do comprehensive saliva hormone testing, because otherwise you're just guessing and you're taking these random supplements that could be doing more harm than good. For example, a lot of people who have bad acne think that they have high testosterone as a woman, which is true for some women, but it's not true for a lot of women. So then they drink spearmint tea, which lowers testosterone levels. They might take an androgen blocking supplement, and if they don't know where their testosterone levels are at, they could be making their testosterone super low, which as women, we don't want super low testosterone. It still has a place and a need in our body. Or another example, someone's acne could be caused from estrogen dominance, where the level of estrogen in their body is higher than the level of progesterone in their body. If they guess that they have that and they don't get it tested, they could go on DIM, which lowers estrogen in the body. They could already have low estrogen. They're just making it lower and probably making the issue worse. So hormone testing is so helpful, because then if you're fine, then you know that it's probably a digestive and gut health issue. And gut health and hormones are so hand in hand. So it's really hard to say without knowing someone, like exactly what I would have them do. Like I would need to know where their hormone results are at. But if you are someone with bad skin and you want to get your hormones tested, or even if you're having any hormonal problems, I'd recommend getting a saliva hormone test or a Dutch test. Reason being, when you are getting a blood test done at the doctor, it's expensive and it's generic. And 9 out of 10 times it's going to say that you're fine when you're not fine. The ranges are super vast and super, super big. So although you may be in the fine range, it's probably not optimal and it's not custom to your body. They're not looking at the test in a functional way where they can see how each hormone interacts with one another. They don't test, like, for example, a lot of women don't know we have 3 estrogens in our body. They only test 1. They don't test how the ratios interact with each other. It's not very functional. So I would get with my clients, I do saliva hormone testing. So to get a more comprehensive test, you can see, like, is it your cortisol? Is it your testosterone, your DHEA, your estrogen, progesterone? And if you are lucky, this is kind of rare, and you're perfectly fine in the hormone range, like hormone era, which I haven't had a client who's been like that, then you know, okay, it's probably a gut health issue. Maybe it's a food intolerance issue, but it's usually stemmed from gut health, hormones, stress, which is with hormones, blood sugar, which is related to your hormones. So your hormones. And through making nutrition changes, supplementation changes, changes to your workouts, to your lifestyle, that is where I would start. As far as skincare, I wouldn't pop your zit. Like, I know that's a question you asked earlier, but if you have a really persistent whitehead on your face, it's been there for like weeks, then you can pop it. Sometimes it needs to be popped in order for it to go away. But you can buy like, I don't know what they're called. I have them here, but they're like little needles that are like, you're not using your dirty little fingers. You can use like, or even like toilet paper that's been sitting in a bathroom with lots of bacteria. You can buy like these little like needles. I don't know what it's called, but you can like prick it with a needle or something like sanitary and then like squeeze it out with a Q-tip. But skincare wise too, just a thing I want to debunk. A lot of people with acne go to the heavy, like 10% benzoyl peroxide. I've been there. Salicylic acid, retinols, really harsh topical treatments. And that can work for a while, but what it will probably do is make your skin barrier broken. So everyone has a skin barrier made of, oil and I don't know all the technical terms, oil and other things on their face that protects your skin. And these harsh chemicals break down that barrier. So it might work at first, but then you have a super bad purge or breakout on your skin a few months later because you don't have that protective coating on your face anymore. So all this dirt is getting in. It makes your skin a lot more inflamed. So I always recommend to people, focus on hydration. If you look up, I don't remember the website name, but if you type in on Google, like non-pore clogging ingredient website, there's a website where you can literally put in your skincare products you're using and it will tell you if they're pore clogging. So I would get like non-pore clogging, really moisturizing, hydrating products to really keep that skin barrier intact. And then if at the most, get like a little spot treatment to put on your zits, like a benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid versus putting it all over your face, like a panoxyl face wash. I wouldn't do that. And if you have like a retinol or a topical exfoliant, use like the smallest amount once or twice a week. I would never use it every single day. So hopefully that was helpful.
This is no, that's great. Just doing, I mean, there's so many things that's just not common knowledge to try and take care of your skin, or it can just be so frustrating. You just take the easy way out, like take the easy pill, or yeah. I really, when you think about it, it kind of made me, I mean, no judgment, no shame or guilt here. I don't know anything about anything in the skincare world. I'm learning, but yeah, like using like toilet paper and stuff that's been sitting in there, and that makes sense. It's like I crap about a foot from that. That makes it makes a lot of sense. I probably shouldn't use that to like open up my pores and my skin, but either way, not to gross everyone out this morning. Hopefully you're not enjoying your breakfast. I wanted to, if we're to get like a hormone test, you talked about using a saliva and just trying to get the accuracy right. Is this something that you, like a service that you offer that people can go buy? Do you direct them to somebody? How does someone's like, okay, man, I need to figure out this hormone stuff. You're saying big words, and I'm not sure like what's, how can I just get the test done myself? How can I do that?
Of course. So 2 options. So if they wanted to go, let's say through me. So I have a functional doctor on my team that I partner with, him and his wife and his whole team. So they are the ones who, they create the tests themselves. They read the tests, and it just be shipped to your house, and it's through saliva samples and tests pretty much everything I said before. So all 3 estrogens, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, 4 different points of cortisol, your adrenal function. But I don't, like, a big philosophy of mine is I actually want to help my clients get results and heal. So I don't just do hormone testing. I find it very unhelpful for me to be like, here's a test. All right, you don't know how to read it, but or fix it. So I don't do that. If someone wants to just buy a test and they have someone that can read the results, you can get an Everlywell test. Just buy it off the internet, but they're not going to tell you what the results mean or how to fix it. Or you can buy a Dutch test, which again, they're not going to tell you what it means or how to fix it. You can bring it to someone or a doctor to do that. But for me, I only do it for clients who are working with me one-on-one. So they can either get like a 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month coaching package, and then testing's included with that. And it's the first thing that we do. And with a lot of my clients, I retest at 3 or 4 months because we want to see if what we're doing is working and bringing them in the right direction. And yes, they can tell that through feeling better, what their skin looks like, if they're losing weight. We want to make sure we're not over-directing. So like if someone has low estrogen, we want to make sure we're not over-directing and making their estrogen like way too high. So we usually do a retest in a few months. But if someone's like, I don't want to work with someone, I just want to test, you can go to like the Everlywell website and buy one. or by a Dutch test, which is through urine. So it's not that hard to do. I've done a Dutch test, but you're not going to know what it means or what to do with it. So that is where I come in. I tell them what it means and how to fix it, and I work with them to do so.
That makes sense. You get the test back and it's like, okay, I have this percentage. What does that mean? And kind of having the support and the understanding of kind of like what to do with the information, creating that type of plan. I wanted to touch on weight loss. When it comes to, it seemed like you have in your description, you talk about not giving up all the foods that you love, or like what's your kind of dieting, I get so tripped up on it because it just like dieting means to eat.
Yes, yeah, exactly. If your diet is,
but it has this connotation to like suffering. I can't have a cupcake, or I don't even really like cupcakes. I prefer cookies. Either way, just something, that we have to suffer and go throughout. You know what I mean? What's dieting mean to you?
So I agree. Like, your diet is what you eat, but there's also like dieting and diet culture. And I think that's where the negative connotation comes from. I am probably very similar. People watch Jenna's episode. I'm not sure how much she talked on this, but I'm very anti-diet. Like, I want my clients to be able to lose weight without being obsessed with the number of the scale, like without even looking at it. And I think where dieting goes wrong is when people are obsessed with the number on the scale, because you can lose weight and the number stays the same because if you're losing body fat and gaining muscle. So losing weight without the obsession of the scale, without heavily restricting. All my clients who come to me, they do not need to be in a deficit. And I only work with women. Men are actually a little bit easier in this, which maybe you could disagree with. I think it's easier for men to lose weight. They don't have as many hormones affecting things. And women just genetically hold onto more fat, which is healthy, is good. Fat shouldn't be demonized on the body. But anyways, I help women lose weight without going into restriction, giving up foods that they want to give up, being obsessed with a number on the scale, because it's not going to be realistic. If you're losing weight by being in a super crazy deficit, crazy working out, being keto, cutting out every food, fasting, that is not sustainable long-term. Yes, like on The Biggest Loser, they're super restricted. They lose a crap ton of weight, but every single person gains it back, if not more, because it's not realistic. So there's no point in losing weight if it's not realistic. And a lot of people are very impatient, and that's something I work with my clients a lot on, is patience. That healthy weight loss is slow weight loss. You'll probably lose 1 or 2 pounds a month, which a lot of people are like, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. And maybe for some people that's healthy, depending on their body composition. For most people, that's very unhealthy, and they can make their hormones worse, or they're just going to gain that weight back or have to live a very restrictive, sad lifestyle. So it's so important that you're losing weight in a healthy way. And most people who come to me eating so little. Like, they're eating what a toddler should eat, under 1,500 calories. And they're like, I don't get why I'm not losing weight. And it's because when you're eating such little calories, so when you're putting such little energy into your body, your metabolism is going to be so slow because you're putting in such little fuel for your metabolism to run, if that makes sense. Like, you're putting a little bit of gas into the tank. So the tank isn't really going to run. Your metabolism isn't really going to do its job. A lot of my clients need to go in a reverse diet where they're eating more, they're adding in more protein, more fiber, more whole foods versus eating less. So I like to focus on what you can add into your lifestyle versus what you can take out to lose weight. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah. It seems that like shocking the system, it's not like a good thing on say between like men and women. Say for like women, if you look at how evolution kind of play, like I'd imagine women's bodies don't really want to lose a ton of fat because it helps with giving birth and nursing and so many things. To my understanding, it seems like that's no wonder why it's such a fight to kind of like, I don't think your instinct to have a child cares like about your Instagram photos and like
Exactly.
how you kind of look and kind of appreciating that and kind of looking to learn with it. And I'm excited for the culture. You talked about the culture because it seems like that's culture is so strong with the like specifically on Instagram. It seems kind of like a snapshot, and there can be unfortunately a lot of judgment around like your self-worth is based off of like how you look in the photo, so people feel like they're in a rush when their body's like, whoa, dude, you need to like slow down and take a healthier approach to this.
Yeah, no, it's social media for sure. Some sides of social media emphasizes bad diet culture, but there is such a good wave on social media that emphasizes like body positivity and healthily losing weight. And that's why I think it's so important to unfollow people who trigger you in that way. But I like that comment you said of like your body doesn't care, like, or your genetics or body doesn't care about your Instagram photo, because that is so true. If it is healthy for you to lose weight, if you focus on just being healthier, you will lose weight. But it's a lot of times it's women who don't need to lose weight. Like we're supposed to have little fupas. We're supposed to have fat in our lower belly. You know, we're like that's supposed to be there. We're supposed to have fat in other areas of our body. That's just genetically how we're made. And it's, a lot of times it's women who don't need to lose weight. They want to have kids or not. Their body like wants to have fat there. So that's why it's so hard for them to lose it, because their body wants to keep it there. And then they go on why can't I think of Ozempic and other things they don't need to go on. And that is so emphasized on TikTok and social media by influencers and celebrities. So a lot of times it's just gonna be you making the decision to consciously unfollow because it's so easily in front of our face on social media.
I'm in the information age where you can learn about really anything at any time. I find it interesting that I'm like at the really the root of it, there's no escaping you figuring out like what works for you. Like my genetics are a lot different than other people's. I've never had weight stick to me at all. Very, very fortunate. Actually, my little spin in my head was I wasn't like big enough, like cool, to try and, yeah, this like big macho man having weight stay on versus granted, I'd much rather have an issue with adding weight than losing weight, it seems like, but either way, people need to find what works for them. And what are some, say, to kind of really start learning about diet, nutrition, because there's so many options. Where would you direct people to kind of start their education journey on trying to figure out what works for them?
That's a really good question. So the more annoying answer to people would be to have someone help you, which I know not everyone may want to hear, but there are a lot of people online who just because they look good, they think they're qualified to tell other people how to do the same. Like just because they have a six pack, they feel like they're credible, like it worked for them, so therefore they can help other people with every aspect. So if you at this time can afford to work with someone, I would only consume information from people who are somewhat credible, have a degree, a certification, a lot of experience, and who have a very anti-diet bullshit approach. So again, just choosing the people you decide to consume. I wish I had a good book or something, because like all my education I learned through like schooling and stuff. So not books the general public would read. I don't know of any like great books off the top of my head. If you're a woman wanting to learn more about like weight loss with your cycle, and the book, it's called In the Flow, is a good one. It tells you to like food seat for the different phases, but it really would just be consuming information, podcasts, whatever, from people who are professionals versus influencers who have a good body and think that they can teach other people to have a good body. So that would be a big thing. If it's in someone's budget, hiring someone for a short amount of time to teach you how you can eat or work out or whatever for your unique custom body is priceless because you will use that information for the rest of your entire life. So that is a no-brainer to me.
They can't take your education away. They can take property with taxes and a whole slew of things, but they can never take your education. And I'm starting to surrender to the idea that I'm never going to have a perfect answer. And I'm going to read a few things that maybe don't completely change my life, but like one idea or one person can really just flip, start a business or move across the country or travel the world or something like that. It's when it comes to you touched on a point that I think is really important. And like, if people want to work with somebody, to just be straightforward with like folks, if you want to, my old mentor, Rich, when I was selling houses in Chicago, he would always tell me, he'd like, how do you want to pay? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, no matter what route you go, you got to pay something. And
That's
say
true.
if you don't want to pay money, because I used to be so cheap, I'm like, I can't pay that. I can't pay for coaching, or I can't pay for books, or I can't pay for this. And because he made me pay. I was cleaning toilets for the dude to have him answer my questions. And he was like, you have to go to the seminar. And I was like, Rich, I'm broke. I can't go to this seminar. He's like, you either pay to go to the seminar or you pay with the thoughts in your head. And I was like, oh yeah. And so whenever I would cheap out on things, or I'd be too scared to invest or something like that, just remember that you're going to pay for it one way or the other, whether it's, continuing on a journey of, like, say, still dealing with the problems that you have, or there's no perfect way to go about anything, but I just want to add that thought. It's like, whether you work with somebody or something, you got to pay something. There's no free ride. Life is tough.
Because even in the health aspect, yeah, you're going to pay with how you feel and look, but you're going to have health issues down the line. You're going to have to pay for your medication that
100%.
you could have prevented. Or even in the business realm, you're going to pay for it by, like, in the future, by being broke and getting into debt and having to pay that off. So we'd rather pay off crappy debt or investing in your business. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to actually physically pay either way, but also mentally pay, like you said. So
yeah. Shout out to Rich. How do you want to pay? Very cool. All right. So social media stuff. So you're on there. Seems like everyone and their brother's jumping into the pool. We gotta promote. How are people going to find out about us? What do you like about social media, and what do you not like about social media to kind of start?
So what I like about social media is that it is so accessible for everyone to have an online business. And even if you have an in-person business, the best place to promote it is now online, not in person or putting flyers up and shit. So it makes it so accessible to start a business, which is absolutely amazing. You can work from people from all over the world. Like, I've had clients from literally, well, not every place, but from all over the world, from India, Australia, and Europe. So, like, it expands your reach so far, gives you a bigger community that you would ever have locally. It gives you such a vast community, such a vast voice and reach. And I mean, it's accessible to most people if they have a phone or a laptop. So that is what I like about it. And just like the connections and friendships I've made, and just it's pretty easy, at least for me. What I don't like about it, maybe for like someone who's not good with social media, it might not be easy for them. There's a lot of toxicity online, as well as there are good things. There's a lot of fake news or things that aren't correct. Negativity. I think I already said that. People, like, I know a big thing for me and a lot of entrepreneurs, like, my screen time on my phone, like staring at your phone all day is obviously not good for your health. That's a negative. Staring at your little screen on your phone or your laptop, being distracting. You can't just shut your mind off when you come home from work. If you work like in an in-person job, like, your job's on your phone, it's constantly in front of your face. So I'd say those are more of the negatives for me, but I personally love social media. I've always loved social media. I always like to tell this little story, but when I was in 5th grade, I had a YouTube about my pet hamster. It was hilarious looking back at it, like how I clean my hamster's cage and what my hamster eats in a day. And it was like a huge YouTube, like thousands of subscribers. And I've always loved social media. And then of course, someone found out about it at school and I felt embarrassed and I deleted it. But like, I've always really liked social media. I've always thought it's been a lot of fun.
That's cool. I really like your how you explain the balance of it, because there's no perfect system, or there's nothing that's completely good all the time or completely bad all the time. The kind of hits me a little bit thinking like, man, yeah, I do look at my laptop a lot, and that's definitely not. But I mean, what else would I be doing? Go to somewhere else where there's kind of picking. I like this idea of picking the lifestyle that you want, and then finding the career that matches that lifestyle. And I think that gets, unfortunately, people get that backwards quite a bit, and it can be really limiting. So kind of just, what are some tools that you use to fire out all this stuff? You got like Canva, or what do you use to kind of make this happen? Do you set time aside each week?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess for the platforms or things I do use Canva to make a lot of things. I use Zoom for my calls or group calls or master classes. I used the Spotify podcast app, MailChimp for email marketing. For any health people listening, I use Trainerize for my clients. Like for the workout programs, I use Slack. I don't know if you know what that is for my business coaching clients. I use Voxer and WhatsApp for my business coaching clients because I don't give out my phone number to anyone. So that's how they can message me. Of course, all the social medias. I think that's all I use StantStore for my website. I personally believe that most people don't need websites for their business. They don't need like actual big websites. I had one, didn't really do anything. I just use my StantStore, which you can pull up. StantStore, I love. So easy. I use Stripe for payment processing. So I think those are all the things, like behind the scenes kind of things that I use. As far as like my lifestyle, I guess, because I know you kind of touched on that. I usually work like a Monday through Friday. Sometimes I'll work on the weekend, but I'm all about freedom and flexibility. I like my mornings to sleep in. I like to go to the gym whenever I want to go to the gym. If I want to book a vacation, like one of my goals this year is to go on 5 different trips. Like I want to be able to book a vacation. That's why I became like an online business owner. So some days I do work within the normal like 9 to 5, but it's at my own leisure. Like I can still go to the gym, or I can sit on my couch. It's very chill, or walk on my walking pad. Like it's not like a strict 9 to 5, but sometimes it's a 10 to 2 or a 1 to 7. Like it's really just whatever my schedule is that day. And I even in October and November, I gave myself a challenge too of like, I only want to work 4 days a week. I'm going to have 1 day a week where I can just do whatever I want, like take a new class or do a new hobby. Because I really did start my business for the freedom. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get it wrong in the sense that they start their business for more freedom. And then they end up working a 9 to 5 pretty much, and working more hours and having less freedom, because then they're obsessing about their business all the time. So I'm very big on like, you should have an enjoyable business that you love. And when you're working, it shouldn't feel like you're working because you love it so much, and you still have your freedom. So that's a big thing that I try to incorporate.
Yeah. I've had a real issue with feeling shame and guilt whenever I'm not trying to like work on it. You hit it the nail on the head. So many people, they get into entrepreneurship to be free and to do that, and then they end up working like 2 jobs worth of hours, and their headspace was so locked into it that they were actually living a less stressful life with the other job. And which is,
for me, it's like, what is the money worth if you can't even do anything with it? But also if you're like stressed out all the time, you're going to give yourself health issues. You're going to burn out anyways. Like you either can decide to take time for rest, or your body will decide for you, which is, you'd rather decide yourself.
Seems like that's why people get sick, is just finally, okay, buddy, you don't want to slow down? Here you go. Here's a reason for you to not. And it's so interesting how powerful stress is in the body. And like, I mean, with you knowing so much about hormones and acne and weight loss, I mean, stress really, and if you want to be really stressed, that kind of puts your body in, like, it doesn't even allow your systems to like really work. How have you kind of managed your own stresses? Is that kind of like the key, is just trying to find like a good work-life balance, or what are your opinions on managing
Yeah.
stress?
So I'm naturally a type A girly. I get stressed very easily, but because of that, I do a lot to try to not be that way. I would say setting up a routine that's very realistic. I never want to be working 40 hours a week. So like I will make a schedule where I'm all about working smarter, not harder. This might sound cocky, but like I can probably get done in 4 hours what someone could get done in 8 hours just because I'm being focused. So I make a very focused work schedule of the times I'm my most focused so that I do have a lot of leisurely time to prioritize my health, making 3 home cooked meals a day, working out. I just this morning I meditate in front of my red light therapy. Like I make time for that. A big thing for me too, which I love, like I used to always be a nonfiction book reader. I loved like the self-help books. And I no shame to those. I still like those, but I got to a point where like they would honestly make me feel more stressed out of like I always need to be doing something better. Like I'm not good enough the way I am. I was like fix myself or do more. And a big stress reliever for me is I've gotten into fiction reading. So I love to fiction read. So that's like a really big de-stressor for me is reading now. But yeah, really just making a schedule where I'm not working a ton and really prioritizing like my workouts will come first. My sleep, I have to get at least 8 hours of sleep a night and not working when I say I'm not working. When I'm not working, I'm not working. So really trying to like stay off, even if that's like staying off social media because social media is part of my job. Those are the biggest things for sure. I also too get like acupuncture and regular massages. I still get those here or there too if I'm extra stressed out.
Yeah, I've never done acupuncture. It's something that you would recommend?
For sure. It helped me so much, not only with stress, but like for my skin, for my periods. It can help with so many things. Like it can help with like morning sickness or if you have like the ear ringing, but even for stress, it was super helpful.
That's cool. Me and my girlfriend were talking about, yeah, we really want to try that. I think it'd be cool.
You should.
All right. Well, we're going to dive into the coaching session on here now to kind of get a little deeper dive on Baylee, on what she's working on, what she's really focusing on moving forward. How's everyone doing this morning? Having coffee, getting ready to rock and roll for the day. We're bringing out the podium. This is the new standing desk. I've been standing and working a lot more. And shout out to my sister talking about that. And it's been really nice and really helpful. At first I read in this book. It was so good I forgot the title, but they talked about how sitting is the new smoking, and just trying to stand more and be moved. It's so easy to feel like I can just lock into my little computer chair. They make them so comfortable now, and just be sitting down and stare at a screen for hours and hours.
Yeah, my boyfriend got me a standing desk and a walking pad for Christmas. So I've been walking while using my standing desk and it's been the best thing ever. So.
Hey. Well, we're going to start off with some powerful questions to learn a bit more about Baylee. First question is, what is one thing that you love about yourself? What is one thing that you love about yourself?
So I actually thought about these and I wrote these down because I knew my mind would go blank when asked. So the thing that I thought of, one thing I really like about myself, and I don't know how to put this into really one word, but I socially am very good at like making friends and making friends merge together. Like I guess like connecting other people, but connecting people. Like a lot of my friends are friends because I've like made them hang out and become friends. So I feel like socially connecting with people, but making other people feel comfortable to connect with others.
That's a superpower nowadays. I feel like my girlfriend's a school teacher, and she talks about eye contact and personability. And I can really feel children aside. I feel like that's within me. I was so cooped up. I live in a small town for anyone who doesn't know. And then I try to go for like speeches or networking events. I'm always like really nervous. I'm like, man, I gotta go talk to these people and engage. So please hold on to that. That's a superpower. I think it's going to be a huge opportunity to really help a lot of people with that going forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Next question. What is your number one goal? What is your number one goal?
So my number one goal for this year, I make like 20 goals. So I was really trying to think of a number one. But a big thing I was trying to do this year is last year I got super consumed with like the metrics of like, how much money am I making a month? How many like followers do I have on my social media? And like got very consumed in the metrics in a bad way. So a big goal of mine this year is to be very present with like being grateful for what I have right now and not being so obsessed with like moving on to the next best thing and just being really present with my current accomplishments would be one goal for this year. And then more of a fun one is I really want to travel at least 5 times this year.
Okay. Yeah. This, have you ever heard of the book, The Gap and the Gain from Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan? Either way, they, and I embed a lot of this into my coaching. Shout out to those guys. This is so many of us as humans, we want to do more, to provide more. I think human meaning, see your kids have kids, grant, whatever. So we want to do more. We want to be more. And so it's really to focus on the things that we don't have versus the things that we have. And that is the gap. When you're focused on what you want versus what you have, it creates this like gap and this void. And this is where anxiety lives. This is where sadness lives. This is where when we focus on the thing, I want that partner, I want that good job, and you don't have it, that void is negative emotion. Versus when you live in the gain and we go over things like your top accomplishments and so much, and you see the things that you have and how lucky you really are. Sounds cheesy, folks, but how lucky you are to be a walking, breathing, and living in America. I mean, you don't have to boil it down that much, but just really seeing that I believe anyone can see if you're alive here, that you do have things to be grateful for, and you do have and living in that state and using that as the foundation moving forward, I think is like the main principle for the gap and the gain, but living in the gap.
I completely agree.
Okay, so we want to live in the gains. Live in the gains. And it's pretty hard to, when you're living in the present moment, you're really focused on what's around you and what you're doing. It makes it a lot easier with presence and things like Baylee's been talking about, like meditation and kind of focusing on the things you love. Okay. Next powerful question is, what is your number one challenge? What's the biggest pain in your ass right now? Your number one challenge?
I would say biting off more than I can chew.
Ooh, okay.
A lot of entrepreneurs are super multi-passionate, but there'll be 100 different not 100, but a ton of different offers I want to do, or I'll schedule a lot of lives with other people or podcasts with other people, or I'll schedule a lot that I'm excited about it, but when I actually get to it, it's way too much. So I'd say biting off more than I can chew.
Okay. What's a piece of advice that you would give yourself to handle that, to help improve upon this? One piece of advice.
It kind of goes back to my goal, but it's really just, and it's kind of the same of really just being happy with what I'm currently doing and not feeling the need to do more. Mm-hmm. So to slow down, to stop and smell the roses of how good things are actually going.
What does that really look like?
Did you say, what does that really look like?
Yeah.
Not taking on, saying no more, to be saying no more.
Yeah.
It would be being realistic when not having shiny new object syndrome of, instead of coming up with a new offer thing I want to do, just working on being really good with the stuff I already have going. it would be just really making sure, like I said earlier, that my schedule leaves time for rest so that I don't take on too much and get sick. So that is what it would look like.
Slowing down, being with it's so interesting how now with so many opportunities that you've talked about, like you work with people all over the world, coming on to different podcasts and doing, and how important this word no. I think it's really easy to get tripped up in like, I need to say yes to this, yes to this, yes to this. But being able to say no and to do, like Baylee was talking about how she gets done more in 4 hours than most people get done in a full workday. I would argue with the right motivation, I think I can get now with my new me, I can get more done with like really saying no to everything else. I can get more done in 4 hours than like 4 years because I put off things for years. And then it really only took one afternoon to do it. I get passionate about that because it blows my mind when I really think like whether it's starting your business or just like creating your products and stuff, when we really are able to sit down and lock in it, things just tend to go, they're a lot simpler than we make them out to be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, folks. Well, this was a deep dive on Baylee Allison working with and improving our hormones, acne, and having, I almost don't even want to say weight loss because it's like not even really about that. It's about being healthier and being happier with who you are. And it's what you're doing is really beautiful, and I appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much.
Well, Baylee, is there anything else that you would like to share with our folks before we cut out of here for today?
If anyone listening just feels inclined to want to be a little bit more in my world, if you're an entrepreneur, Biz by Baylee on Instagram and TikTok. If you are wanting to learn more about your hormones, your cycle, acne, healthy weight loss, Strong by Baylee Allison on Instagram, Strong by Baylee on TikTok, and just come into my DMs, say hello. That's where we can start. I also have a podcast called It's Baylee on Spotify.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really cool that you're doing that on Spotify. I've never I was clicking around on your stuff and checking it out. I've never used their platform before, but yeah, everyone, you should go check this out. You can get it on Spotify. It's a cool tool. Really straightforward. I really like the message. It's so, especially if you have like specific problems, you do a really good job of like diving really into like, okay, this is the situation, and this is kind of like how you can take action on it and improve it. And I think I can really appreciate it. Sometimes there's, not that I don't like conversation and a little bit of fluff, but sometimes I don't want to spend 4 hours listening to a podcast, and I kind of just want to learn about something. You do a good job of it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks. Baylee, you stick around for a little bit. We'll be chatting after the show, but the rest of you guys have an incredible, incredible day. In case you needed to hear it, I love you. You're a badass. You got this. And I'll be live again Friday morning with another episode of the Talk Care Morning Show. Cheers, friends. You guys all have a good one. Say bye, Baylee. We're out of here.
Thank you.
Until next time. See you, everyone. Love you all. I'm out. Peace.